Nigeria can also lead discussions around the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, and other multilateral platforms to sustain these opportunities. He further explained that Nigeria must reduce its overdependence on a few trading partners by expanding bilateral trade agreements with emerging economies in Asia, Latin America, and Africa. He stressed the importance of aggressively promoting intra-African trade under the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. And to throw more light on this subject matter is an ex-banker, a financial analyst, and the CEO of Rugon Capital Limited, Anitche Ndudim Rowland, on Trump tariffs, strategic steps Nigeria should take. He will be speaking from a professional angle. Good evening, Ndudim. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you.
On April 2, 2025, Trump announced a sweeping new tariff regime. We'll be looking at what this means. We'll be looking at what it aims at. And then we will look at the strategic steps Nigeria should take in this very trying times, if you ask me. So can you explain what this is all about? Let's even start by understanding Trump's tariff policy, what it means to Nigeria. The 14%, right?
Yeah.
What it means to Nigeria.
Okay, what it means is that for every export from Nigeria to the US, if we slammed, the country will pay a 14% tariff on all goods. More or less like it's a cost on the country. Let's say we are exporting $1 million worth barrels of crude oil. 40% of $1 million is about $140,000. The cost to Nigeria. That's what.
Apart from oil, do we really have stuff we can export as a nation? I'm not talking about.
There are so many listed fertilizers. If you Google, you see so many. But the bulk of it is oil and gas, energy, oil and gas, and
I think steel.
No, not steel. Oil and gas and derivatives of oil. The next on the line is fertilizer, which is about 200 million. But crude oil and gas is in the billions. So that's technically what it is. The rest are very minor, which does not have much impact. And so, because oil is our mainstay of the country, there's a huge cost on the country because it's a reduction in the country's revenue. But it's not all doom for the country. So the question now is, what are we supposed to do?
We'll get to that point.
Yeah. So the essence about tariff is not new. Let's not forget, tariff was introduced in Trump's first tenure, and it was targeted at China. That was the main target. It was resolved, but you see, the same China exploited some loopholes in the agreements. You know, America has free trade agreements with Mexico and Canada. With the excess production and productivity in China, what they did was to take their goods to Mexico, and from Mexico route it into America as a trade emanating from Mexico because it's free of tariffs. Yeah, so this is what has been going on, and it also impacts on trade deficits the American government incurs with China. Nigeria incurs trade deficit with America, so we still have enough room to negotiate that. Oh, American government, we are still at a loss with doing trade with you. This is an extra burden. Can we renegotiate further? Even if it's 8%, 4%, 10%, no matter the percentage, it goes a long way to impact on our revenue. So this is what actually happened. And if you look at it again, the first time, from what I read, Ronald Reagan employed tariffs towards the Japanese manufacturers, because in the 80s they were the highest producers of electronics and cars, And so America slammed tariffs on Japanese goods with the sole aim of Japanese companies establishing their factories in America. And it was achieved. They had a trade representative back then. His name is Robert Lighthizer. If you can Google the name. He was a trade representative of America on behalf of the Reagan administration then. The same man is now a trade advisor to President Trump.
Oh, really? Exactly. Someone who has been that relevant way back.
Exactly. So because, you know, they have a very big institution and history of events that's taking place. So the same person is an advisor to Trump, and he was behind the same trade deal with China back then, and currently this present trade deal. So the whole aim is more or less like, let's start afresh again.
Okay, so
it's not
a
just
fresh order.
Exactly, it's a fresh political order being introduced, and it has ripple effects because it was a deliberate attempt and not just a knee-jerk reaction from maybe Trump. It's something that was thought out right from when he was inaugurated, when he won the election, and when he was inaugurated. He has a group of advisors. I'll refer the viewers to Stephen Miller, the chief economic advisor of Trump. He put out an open-ed restructuring global trade through tariffs. It was posted in November. It was more or less like a blueprint of how the Trump administration or the American government will go about restructuring global trade. So when you read through it, you could see clearly that it's more of a new global trade order being introduced. With America as the hegemon of global trade, you could see they have their impact in changing the entire global trading platform, the global trading sphere. And so, yes, you could see it had a ripple effect across the globe. I know they have its principal target of mostly China and the Asian tigers, because you have countries like Singapore, Vietnam, Thailand also being heavy exporters of goods to America. And so this impacts negatively on their trade deficit. And like I explained before on this forum, America has the dollar as the reserve currency. Every country trades to earn dollars, but America does not need to trade to earn dollars. What they just need to do is just print it, and they earn dollar. So for every currency across the globe, from the central bank to Federal Reserve or Bank of England, every currency they churn out, it is a deficit in their books. And so for trade to continue and growth in global trade, America needs to print more and more dollars to finance global trade. Now this has a negative impact on also American economy, because they're losing more of their manufacturing concerns to the Asian tigers, to the Asians, China in particular. And so it also affects their economy. So now what Trump in his mantra is MAGA, that's Make America Great Again. America was known for productivity in their economy, from electronics to cars to airports, so many things, when they assumed the hegemon. Now, a lot of manufacturing concerns has gone to Asia because of cheap labor, and Trump wants a reversal of it, just like what Reagan achieved in the 80s. So the same team is there as an advice to him, and they've churned it out. So the question right now is, what will Nigeria do, or even Africa? We
will get to that point, but there is something you pointed out just right now, that this is aimed at reshaping global trade landscape.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'd like to bring it down home. How, looking at the impact now, how does this impact global trade dynamics, and what specific impacts are we to expect in Nigeria's import and export relations with US?
Nigeria has trade deficits with America. And so there should be no cause for alarm. I saw a question where we placed a ban on 25 items from America. I don't think that's the right way to go. It's more or less like a reciprocal measure you are doing towards America. And in this game,
was that not at the same time that Trump had to pause for 90 days the tariff?
Well, for me, you're looking at a big superpower, a big super trading nation, and you are no match for them when it comes to such tit for tat moves, or just like what is happening with China
and America.
These are super players. You should leave them in their turf. What we should do is, okay, yes, you've done this. You can open a backdoor channel where negotiations will take place. This should be basically led by the Minister of Finance, with Minister of Trade in the team, and Foreign Affairs, because you have 3 areas like that where the diplomatic aspect of it, where this is properly negotiated, so that you have a fair deal, because they are open. There are so many countries negotiating with China, with the US, off the scenes. You and I will not be privileged to it, but it's a bit to renegotiate the entire trade deal, which is a good asset, not placing a ban. You send the wrong signal that you are heading for a confrontation. That's the diplomatic side of it. And when they look at you, okay, you want to engage in me in a diplomatic that, I don't think we will come out better, because we are import dependent. So America has the latitude with the size of the economy and the dollar. They will outsmart the country. So the best bet for the country is raise a team, go and negotiate, which makes more sense. I'm happy Trump's advice on Africa met the president in France. And so that's the beginning of a leeway or a room for discussions, so that we can navigate our way off these high tariffs. 40% is amongst the least, amongst all countries.
Because China has more.
We shouldn't be
5%.
We shouldn't be drinking fencing for China. They will sort themselves out.
Definitely.
But we, as our own, say, okay, what do we need to do?
What do we need to do will certainly be the last question that you have to answer. I want to believe that there must be something to be done to ease it up for Nigerians. But these other things that Nigeria also exports to US other than crude, will they be affected? I mean,
yes, it's
the agricultural products.
It's across.
Flour, life plants, nuts.
The question is, anything about trade is the underlying factor is how do you generate energy so that manufacturing concerns can have access to cheap energy to manufacture and produce goods that will be competitive in the international market. There is no way any factory will run on diesel and be competitive when it comes to exports.
Okay. So in what ways can Trump's tariff policies maybe indirectly affect trade between Nigeria and other foreign allies?
Okay. The question now is, there were heavy hitters of those tariffs, and the whole aim is for those countries like China, Taiwan, Vietnam, they should all set up their factories in America and employ Americans. That's the aim. That's the aim, and they're going to achieve it. If you Google further, you will see countries, you will see big firms are beginning to move or are making plans to site factories in America to avoid those tariffs. It's a good move. And so, whether anybody likes it or not, Trump is only out for his country and country alone. We in Nigeria should be looking at our own interests. It's okay, this has happened. What do we do? Not just for the short term, but for the long term.
And so what do we do with them?
Okay. Now, that's one. If you look at the entire uh, plan, it has all been coming in phases, and this is just one aspect. Now, in every trade across the country, you have what underlines it is the payment channel, and so that countries are swapping. You're swapping from China to yuan, naira to dollar, dollar to Swiss francs, and all that. Now you have a payment channel that carries all the payments, which goes to the heart of what Trump tries to do. It's all about controlling the entire global payment landscape. And if you're not aware, the global payment landscape has been in existence since 1973. SWIFT. From 1973 to today is about 51, 52 years. Is old and outdated. And so there needs to be a change in it, so that countries can trade very fast, very cheap, and easily accessible. That's one aspect of it. Now, two, even countries with their foreign reserve, you will see countries like the Europeans and the Asians, they've been accumulating gold as an alternative to the
currency,
dollar, as a reserve. Let me paint it this way. All the currencies of the world are all like swimming in a river. That river is the debt system which we operate in. Like I said, for every currency that goes into circulation, it comes out as a form of debt. Yeah. So every currency is more or less like swimming on the tide, which was actually anchored before on gold in 1974, before it was removed. Now every country has accumulated so much debt that their assets no longer matches the debt. And so the question now is, how do we pay the debt? Because no matter the volume of trade we are doing as a country, our debt keeps rising. And so what countries, European countries, America and Europe are doing, in line with this trade, is we will need to knock off a big chunk of the debts so that we don't have much conflict in our trades. And the major thing they are doing is they've been accumulating gold over time. This is just one aspect. If you're following the price of gold from last year, the price of gold has been accumulating, was running about $2,000 last year. Today is about $3,200. There's a bump in it. And so, the more gold you have in your votes, it gives you enough strength to negotiate at the global scale your trade balance, your trade issues. There's a saying in finance, he who has the gold makes the rules for global trade. And America presently has 8.1 thousand tons of gold. That gives them the impetus to change global landscape. Now you find countries like Europe as a bloc, EU as a bloc, and China all wanting to have a stake in changing these rules. So that's the politics behind your global trade. And Europe is going as a bloc, EU, with America. Mind you, in the Bretton Woods in 1944, it was basically America and Europe that determined global trade, the rules for trade. So what is happening now with China and the Asian tigers coming up is we've increased our trade, we are now like a force, and so we also want to have a stake in deciding global trade. So what we need to do as Nigeria and as a continent, Africa, is we should form as a bloc to sit on the table to negotiate global trade for the continent, so that we don't end up as spectators. They just dish down the trade to you. or they just dish down the terms of the trade for you when negotiating. So when we're coming as a bloc with our own strength, we'll get a better deal. That's the big picture.
Okay, so aside this monetary order, that's what you're suggesting,
exactly,
right? Are there other things like Nigeria thinking in line of adopting other trade partners?
Yes, we have other trade partners.
Other than US, right?
Other than US. But you could see there's a new order being established.
It's affecting everybody.
It's everybody. Everybody. There's nobody that is escaping it. Okay, even if you want to use China as your new partner, you don't want to trade with America, will you be comfortable holding Chinese yuan in the foreign reserve? That's the question. You know, there's this mantra, de-dollarization, de-dollarization, de-dollarization. Okay, hey, China, China, China. I have asked this question. Will you be comfortable holding Chinese yuan, even in your savings or the CBN? No. Even the BRICS that are coming on board, none of them is ready to use this currency as a reserve currency. Rather, what they do is they trade in a measure of gold. When they trade, they use an ounce of gold as a form of settlement, with the same gold is priced in dollars. So we're back. So we are back.
It's a vicious cycle.
So we are back to the same cobweb of the dollar as a hedge fund in global trade.
So what policies or reforms exactly are necessary for Nigeria to attract direct investments into the manufacturing sector?
Okay, now, we have so many policies. Tax rebates, tax holidays, all kinds. But as long as your energy is not settled, like if a manufacturer has to come in to use diesel, to pay diesel at almost over 1,000 naira to run his business, you cannot be competitive. You need steady power supply, that is uninterrupted power supply, so that you can be highly productive.
So even if we are looking towards manufacturing, because we have been mocked as being a non-producing nation, and rightly so. So even if we look towards that, because of energy, we are also handicapped here.
Any economic policy anybody tells you, any fine economic policy, and that does not address our energy concerns, we're just wasting our time. Recently, I saw the Aso Villa is going on solar. I mean, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. So, for us to compete as a nation, as a trading nation, we just have to develop our manufacturing base. We have a lot of gray areas to look at, to develop. We've not even looked at feeding ourselves, not to talk of exporting. Because it's when you have excess capacity,
you can export.
You can export. So the market is still there for us, yet untapped. Over 100 million Nigerians, a lot of areas to make money, both for the country and to export. As far as our energy concerns, it's not resolved. There's no way. Then you now look at security, which is also a big problem. And also the rule of law. But what is important, we have to be very, very productive as a nation. If we don't address energy, forget any beautiful economic policy you talk about. Everything starts and ends with your energy.
Let's think global. Regional now.
Yeah.
Is there some kind of synergy that can happen with Africa, within Africa as a region, to begin to, see if they can be above the economic situation that is going to come by shifting global trade landscape due to this tariff increase?
Well, I think since secondary school, I've been hearing about uh, the ECOWAS.
I'm sure it's decades ago.
So the ECOWAS with the eco currency, single currency. Until date, it has not come up. It has not. It has, it has not taken
Now,
off.
can we really talk about that before you answer the question I asked you? Some francophone countries still share the CFA for as long as I can remember, and it's working. Why? There's just a block out of the larger picture. Why can't at least West Africa as a sub-region think in that direction, actualize it really, not thinking, because we have had a lot of rhetorics.
Okay, like you said, the rhetorics, the blueprint is those francophone countries are all tied to France, and there's nothing they can do with that. It's even bad that their foreign reserve is all in France, domiciled in France, and so apart from Nigeria, Ghana, and Guinea, that are anglophone. Is it Guinea-Bissau that are anglophone and
Gambia.
Syria alone? Is it Gambia? And I think very few countries are anglophone. The rest are all francophone. So there's nothing. There's that competing interests. Who should lead it? Who will the French France be giving up for another currency? Then which economy is bigger? And Nigeria is bigger. But the question is, can we really absorb the economies of these francophone countries to the detriment of France? These are the big questions. So the question we should be looking at it, I think we should move on as our own, as a country. Just like the way South Africa left Africa and joined the BRICS, so that they can protect their own interests first. You should be thinking about your country first before any other person. It's more or less like just patriotism. Okay, yes, we're all in this sinking ship, but I need to protect my house first. When I protect my house and I find excess, I can now start looking at other regions or other countries. So I don't see it taking off. Maybe not in my lifetime. I don't see it because of the geopolitics behind it. Mind you, you know, about 3 African countries are pulled out from the strongholds of France. The emancipation is not yet complete because their currencies, their foreign reserve is still in France. So by the time maybe they pull it out and they have their foreign currency in the bank in maybe New York or Switzerland, then we'll know that, okay, this country is completely free from the strongholds of France. So, but that's a problem West Africa in particular is facing.
You're saying that regional trade agreements will not sort this matter?
I don't see it sorting itself. Nigeria needs to look out for its own interests first. Because let's tell ourselves the truth, we are no longer the big brother. This idea of big brother Nigeria, not anymore.
So what diplomatic strategies do you think Nigeria should take in order to have, favorable trade terms with the United States?
I mentioned before where we should send a team with the Minister of Finance, Trade and Investment, and Foreign Affairs. You go as a team, and also Nigerian trade partners, trade teams, to discuss these terms. We'll stand a better chance of getting a good deal out of it, and not just placing a ban on America. I don't think that's the right approach, because we are still having trade deficits with America, and it will still push our deficit further down. So we can still negotiate our way out of it, and it's not going to be publicly, it's off camera, because you have a backdoor room for negotiations, and like, okay, we'll all come out with a fair deal.
Okay. Well, we keep talking about the big manufacturing companies. What about how can, Nigerian government support the small, medium, and businesses, medium enterprises, in order to boost trade as well? Become high in exportations as well.
Like I said before, any beautiful economic policy or roadmap by the federal government that does not address energy, the roadmap to sound 24 hours energy for manufacturing concern, it will just be a waste of time. Any policy where a manufacturer needs to set up a plant to run on diesel is failing at initial stage. It's very, you are not going to be competitive. Not going to be. You are talking about Europe, and let's not even go far. You have countries like Egypt producing over 20,000 to 50,000 megawatts of power. South Africa 50,000 megawatts. Nigeria is just 5,000. 5,000 is not even enough for Lagos State as Lagos State alone for them to run 24 hours. 5,000 is not enough.
How much more for the entire country?
For the entire country of over close to 200 million Nigerians.
Now, feelers have it that World Bank is planning to grant Central Bank of Nigeria over $10 million.
Yeah.
Can that help?
Yeah, I saw that. You see, whatever that is happening right now, like I said, the trade from countries, you have a trading platform, the base that supports global trade, which is the payment system. And the payment systems are all outdated and currently being reviewed by Europe and America. And those payment systems are blockchain based to support cross-border payments. What we're using, the SWIFT payment, is an analog. It's very expensive. Assuming you want to send money to America, it will take you 3 days. One, if you want to send, even if it's $100 to America, it takes 3 days to wire such money to America. You'll be charged between 6 to 7%, or let's say it's $100, you'll be charged about $7. And it is very, very slow. Now, but with the blockchain-based payment system, you'll be charged less than a cent. Very fast. It will take just 4 seconds to remit from Nigeria to the US. And very, very efficient. It works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and there's no public holiday or weekends. So it runs right round compared to your payment system that shuts down on Fridays and waits till Monday and does not acknowledge public holidays.
Are you saying that blockchain technology will not come with its own challenges?
No. It will. I will not say it does not, but you know, every system has its own challenges, but it's being reviewed and worked upon and being fine-tuned to be better. Because the current payment system, which, let's say UBA Bank, if they want to make payments to America, they maintain what we call a nostro-vostro account, more or less like they open accounts in America and maintain a balance, which is dormant. It's called your correspondent banks. So you open a correspondent bank in America, in Asia, somewhere in South America, and those funds will remain dormant. Same also for all the whole banks globally. And the total funds being maintained by these banks globally is about $27 trillion, according to research by McKinsey. Now, with the blockchain payment solutions, those banks do not need to maintain those balances in their corresponding banks. So you are freed up 27 trillion, which will go into the banking sector for loans to service global trade, and it will be cheaper and faster. So this is what is actually happening behind the scenes. And when I saw the note about IMF improving the CBN's payment landscape, if you read very well, you will see they're also introducing a blockchain-based payment system. So more or less like they're connecting the entire countries across the globe and replacing it with the old system, so that countries will not just operate in silos. Maybe not, because Europe and America have all upgraded their system, so that countries, even in Africa, will all be connected and trade will continue seamlessly.
And for this Trump tariff, your sure bet is this new monetary order you're talking about. And other than that, every other thing will not work out, because we are looking for strategic steps. Other than that, you have said that the partnership, diversifying partnership, will not save Nigeria. And because of energy issues, the manufacturing sector will not be buoyant, will not thrive enough to sustain the country. Only and only if the monetary policy is introduced. Is Nigeria joins the new money order.
No, okay, no, what I meant is, the monetary order has come to stay. What we need to do is we'll sit down, okay, negotiate the deal, negotiate for a fair deal one. Then back home, we'll now need to realign our economic policies to ensure that we can compete as a nation first. And the only way we can compete as a nation first is to address our energy concerns. In trying to circumvent it, there's no way, because every other country is also adjusted.
And that's a long-term strategy.
It's a long-term strategy.
It's not going to materialize overnight.
Overnight, no.
All right, thank you very much, Anitche Ndudim Rowland, for your very resourceful contribution on the subject matter today.
Thank you very much.
Ndudim is an ex-banker, financial analyst, and the CEO of Rugon Capital Limited, and he had a conversation with us on Trump tariffs, the strategic steps Nigeria should take. We shall return shortly. Please stay with us.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.